Hello everyone and welcome to another Naraka Bladepoint video. This is OSK and today we're going to be doing one of my favorite things to do when trying to improve at the game, and that is review our gameplay, or in other words, VOD review. Now VOD review can be a little boring to some players, but this is one of the most effective methods that you can use to go back on your gameplay, figure out what you did well, what you can do differently in different situations, and really just help to improve your gameplay as a whole as far as your thought process goes. Now, this won't help you in your repetition side of it where you have to practice your mechanics, but this will help you on the other side of the deal, which is getting your brain in tune, getting your thinking straight, and really just opening your mind to the possibilities of what you can do differently in your games if you're trying to improve at a very fast pace like I do a lot of the time. So what we're going to do here is I have a game where I got a win with Justina Gu. This is a ranked game in Platinum, so it's very important to know the context of the skill level behind this game. You know, if you're in your silver games or your gold games, you might want to practice getting your combos down, or really just positioning is really important. In Platinum games, it's more of an advanced level. There's a bit of more of a mind game going on at this level of play. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and hop into the action. I have my lovely little epic pin here off camera, so we can make little circles. We can do pretty much whatever we want to do with this. And to start, you can see that I'm going to be spawning in Celestra. I already have my eyes on these two troves here. This was a very high density loot area as it was in the gold, so I already know that this little golden trove here is going to be available. So I'm immediately looking at that, and I'm going to try to go ahead and get some loot. Now, to give you some context here, what we'll do is we'll play the fight initially, so you see the full thing, and then we'll go back on it and try to figure out what we did well and what we can try to do in the future. So without further ado, we're going to press play, and we will be right into it. As you can see, going for these two troves, very important. I'm focusing on the gold, but I get interrupted immediately. Now, I don't get any weapons, but I am unarmed. So what this means is that I can hold down my right mouse button or the vertical attack and charge up a blue focus kick. And it actually does quite a bit of damage there. That's pretty much our best option in this scenario. It's the only option we have. Now, if we pause there and we take it back, you might think that there's not really much we could do differently there, but there actually is. So if we want to play this forward, and you'll see a little bar at the bottom of my VLC media player, you can see that I kind of stray a little bit far away from the trove. So if I want to be a little bit better about this, then I would keep kind of a straighter path. Oh, that's the eraser. I would keep a straighter path kind of through the trove instead of trying to go all the way around like I did. This will allow me to tab loot, which is a lot more effective than just spamming F like I normally have the habit of doing. So if I wanted to take this fight just a little bit better, or take the looting a little bit better, I wasn't expecting this guy to be right next to me, but that is a little bit better of looting pattern that I could have. Now, I do a good job of rolling to get the armor back. And basically from here, all I'm trying to do is just land stray hits right there. I'm doing a good job of dodging out. I need to be a little bit more careful about the skill there. You can see that the dual blades take off a lot. One thing you'll notice there is if I go back at that last kick, I actually could have won this engagement. I could have won this engagement while unarmed, which is pretty crazy. But I get a little bit overzealous here, and I start the kick as they're on the ground and able to roll. So if I were a little bit more methodical here, what I would do is I would actually back up a little bit and try to get some space between me and her. She might try to actually come and try to end me there, and then I can just do the same thing that I've been doing. She might come at me with a focus attack, but I can at least try the blue focus clang, and hopefully that would have taken her out there. It's a little bit of a better option than what we went for. All in all, we're trying to pick a fight while unarmed, and it was one hit away. So we're very close, but 9 times out of 10, you're not going to win that. But that's one way you could go about winning. Now, as you can see, I get the salty run back because pretty much what I'm thinking is you're going to spawn with a common piece of armor. They didn't have any armor to start, so I'm actually at an advantage at this point. So I already know they're going to be right there. Unless they picked up a piece of armor right then, I'm going to be dashing in. We're going to swap out the bow for the repeating crossbow, or vice versa. We don't want the repeater. We're going to go for a vertical. At this point, I'm just looking for an opening. I know that I'm better than this player, or at least I think I am. So I'm going to try to pick this fight and see what I can get. You have to be a little bit careful as I am on my last legs. All right. It's at this point that I notice that there are more than one player trying to go for me. So I decide that it's time to dip at that moment. I also have a bodyguard mission on me, so you don't want to be too embroiled in another piece of combat. This is a great spot to kind of stop the footage there for just a second. So you'll notice that as soon as I see, let me go back just a second. As soon as I see that there's another person right here, even though they're low, even though I could get the kill, look at how low my health is. I'm at about 60%, maybe 55% health there. So basically, we don't want to overstay. And that is the reason for so many deaths in this game, is if you overstay in certain situations. So we definitely want to avoid that. So what do I end up doing? As soon as I see that this guy is also in the fight, you'll see me do it here. I want to go ahead and get my defensive little freeze. Now, I choose F2 for Justina Goo. It's basically the version that doesn't give you any armor back, but it lets you freeze up in the middle of a combo. So it's very safe to use if you want to break up the action. And then from there, we can just simply dash out, go in between some tight corners. Just do everything in our power to try to get away. And from here, I can get a nice little reset. They didn't chase, which is very phenomenal for us. And that's that. Skipping ahead here, you can see that I'm already going south of Celestial Valley up there in the top right in the map. Around this area, you can sometimes find some gold chests, some gold troves to loot with. I've swapped to the nunchucks at this point because they have a great neutral game, and that's very good for Justina. I also have some mechanics with Biting Fury, which really helps us here, especially in the neutral game. As you can see, we have the golden trove here. And there's a few of these things lying around, so we'll be able to get some better loot. We already have a purple bow, and we're going to join back a little bit later in the game. So we picked up some dandelions here, and you can see that we're going towards, looks like Jade Pond. You can see that here in the top right. And this is another great spot because you can ring the bell to check and see if anyone's around. And even if it's not in a high density area, you still have some golden troves that you can check. And that's really good if you're trying to balance out some of your weapons. As you can see, we have a purple spear. We have a purple spear. We have purple katana. I love the katana in certain situations. This is one of them. It's got a good neutral game. It's got an amazing advantage state that you can really abuse. So I like to take control of it. If I want to pause it here, this is a good opportunity to show you how I like to divvy up my loot whenever I have a full inventory. What I like to do is I like to have 4 of these repair kits, usually in these last 2 slots. I like to have 4 Vitalia, 18 grapple hooks, and then the rest we just fill out with armor. And that's pretty much how you do it. So you'll see down here, it'll be 4, it'll be 10. We'll have 4 of these, and that's a pretty good setup. 18 of these. Gives you plenty of mobility with your grappling. You don't really have to worry about that too much unless you're just grappling all over the place. Gives you plenty of survivability for armor, and because you replenish armor, or you lose armor before you lose health most of the time, you'll be pretty safe in terms of survivability. As far as soul jades go, I really do like my melee resists whenever I'm just starting out. Juggernaut is an amazing attack boost, especially if you can get some early kills. Attack is all right as well. It's it's good if you kind of know a little bit more about what you're doing. The safer option would be to choose health and melee resist here. But if you are feeling confident and you you know that you're better than most of the players in the lobby, or you know, you're just feeling it, you're having a good game, then you can go ahead and do some attack soul jades and get them down even faster. We're gonna press play. So at this point in the game, I'm just kind of roaming around. I see that there's a Morus Blessing about to drop over here to the northwest. So I'm going to do everything I can to kind of secure that. It's a good idea to go for early Morus Blessings if you don't have any purple armor yet, as the Morus Blessing will allow you to go ahead and guarantee getting purple armor, especially if you have some Bane Breath like I do. So for right here, I'm going to pretty much hop in a tree. I go into grappling mode to check the other treetops. And I can go ahead and select Bane Breath, put it over the Morus Blessing whenever it has about 17 or so seconds left. That'll guarantee that it drops right when the Morus Blessing drops. And here we go. Bane Breath is bursting. Morus Blessing is going to spawn. And we pretty much have a free chest. Again, purple weapon, purple armor, purple soul jade, and some extra armor and vitality if we need it. Pretty good. Swap out my melee resist for the health bonus of 2 Na. I actually don't really use 2 Na all that much as far as the bonus goes, but the health bonus itself is pretty good. So from here we have an extra 30 seconds to kill. There's only 12 alive, so that's a very advantageous position for us. We're going to get some nice rank boost out of this. And we're just going to, you know, hobble around. We do have a fighter over here. It's always a good idea to remember that you do have the option for a ranged weapon. You want to use it as often as you can. And basically, I just want to keep my space. I want to start the melee fight at an advantage. And that's pretty much my whole philosophy here. All right, so as you can see, a bit of a sloppy fight. So let's go ahead and decide what we can do a little bit better. Some of my moves are a little bit limited by how much stamina I have. So that's something right out the gate we can kind of try to control here. As you can see, I'm already at half stamina. I dash a whole lot, so we don't really want to do that too much. And I actually end up letting go that focus attack because I don't think there's any way he can reach me from that area, and it's also a strong attack if he wants to try to grapple, which he went very high, which is something that some players will do. So now we're pretty much just throwing out some attacks here, seeing what he'll bite on. We're in an advantage, so we're feeling pretty good. Now I do go ahead and tap dodge there, which is the correct move to make, but you typically want to start charging a focus attack as soon as you're done doing that, just so you can have some sort of super armor. And you see I get hit by this last move there. Playing with the focus. This move right here was basically just to cover anything cheeky that could have happened out of the focus attack. I honestly fully expected to get hit by the focus attack at that moment, so that's why I was going to go ahead and spam F2. It's a little bit of a mistake for me, and it could cost me dearly. Thankfully, it doesn't in this fight, but something to note for later. Looking for some freezes. He activates his ult, which is pretty good. Just got to keep in mind the tap dodges. Okay, get a nice little freeze. Okay, he goes for his little defense. He's spamming attacks, and that's the end of that. So one thing I could keep in mind here is try to go for at least one counter probably in that entire fight. My grapple that I did at the very end there could have had a counter attached to it at the very end. But one thing that I noticed is, this is why you always lead with a focus attack, guys, because even if they're going to spam single attacks at you, you're already charged up with focus attacks. You're only going to lose like maybe 5% health with each single attack. So what you can do is you can hold this, and if you see the second hit come out of a 1-2-3 combo, you can go ahead and let it go. Cutting it way too close in that fight, but we do end up getting the kill there, which is very nice. I believe that's our first of the day. Now we're in the top 10, feeling pretty good. We get immediately grappled. This is why you want to save your F2 if you're a Justina. Same thing there. Notice that he's going for a lot of focus attacks here. Kind of gives me a clue. All right, he's got his ult. Not a good situation. We definitely don't want to be near him while he has his ult, so we're going to try to get some separation. And this is a very, very good idea if you are in a bad situation and you don't have your ult up, for example, and you're at a disadvantage, then just doing the handshake and backing off is a pretty good idea most times. You can see he's kind of focused there on doing other things. Not really paying attention to the fight as much. And that last part was honestly a bit of an easier engagement. So you can see that he's more focused on what he wants to do than reacting to what I'm trying to do, which is very advantageous for us because we know a few of the cancels. We know how to approach these sort of situations. So very advantageous. Now you saw with the handshake, I was able to get my bow repaired, and this is very, very important. You always want to remember that you have a ranged weapon in hand. Especially when it's repaired. So you can see I took advantage of that in the middle of the fight. I missed the headshot, but it's still very important to try to land. You can see I saw the grapple come out. So what do? I go ahead and let go of the focus attack at the right time. Do this a little bit too early or too late and you will get countered. So be careful with it. I timed this about as well as I could have. Okay. You can see right there that as soon as I land this focus attack, he might try and anticipate that I might do the focus attack again. So I get a cheeky little tap dodge bow shot right there. Chunks him down out of armor. From there, it's just tagging him with single attacks. So for this scenario here, it's the same thing that happened with the first fight. I saw that he's going to spam the second part of his single attack of the 1, 2, 3 combo. So I go ahead and just let go of my focus attack. It's a very simple trick. It'll happen a lot in low elos where players will go for a 1, 2, 3. All you have to do is just hold down your focus attack, watch for the second single hit to come out, and most of the time you will be able to go ahead and land them a nice little bit of focus attack. So good to know, guys. All right, guys, from here we see another Morus blessing. Hopefully we'll get some more goodies out of here. And guys, don't be ashamed to go ahead and hide in a bush in this sort of scenario. If you're going for rank, it's a very good idea to go ahead and get in a bush, especially if you see up here the number of alive. It's 7. The cutoff for a very good rating typically is top 10 and top 5. So in this scenario, I don't want to be kill number 7. I don't want to be kill number 6. I want to at least get to top 5. So hiding in a bush, especially when it's next to Morus blessing, don't feel too ashamed to do it. Okay, everybody does it at some point. Going to immediately go for it. I don't end up using the Flamebringer quite a lot. I probably should have kept the nunchucks there in hindsight. But everything else, pretty handy. Go ahead and drop my other weapon to get the nunchucks back, just in case I get countered. Here, a musket. I'm immediately looking for where that came from. Okay, we got a bodyguard. There he is over here to the left. And he's dashing around, which means he's a real player. So I have to take this a little bit differently. You can see why it's important. Okay, in that scenario, I got just a little bit overzealous, but it ended up working out for us. So you can see the importance of getting an early advantage if you can with your ranged weapon, especially if it's a headshot like this. And then from there, landing a focus attack, and then katana combos. That's really all there is to it. Practice your katana combos if you're going to run it in game, and you can do stuff like that. And use your ranged weapon. One thing to keep in mind as well as we're going through this later part of the game is that if you do end up getting an advantage like that, typically players will try to make up the damage, especially if they're not like top 10 or top 50. What they'll try to do is try to land a cheeky little focus attack. So if you know that you have a player really, really low and they're getting a little desperate, then watch for opportunities to land a counter. A lot of them will just do that instinctively, but they won't go for any combos. Combos are how you get the big damage in this game, but there's something with the human brain that just makes you want to go for big damage whenever you are desperate. So keep that in mind if you're going into these late fights and you get an advantage. People want the big damage. So prepare for counters. At this point, we have the bounty. We have the bodyguard thing coming up. We have a gold armor right here. I'm running out of stamina. That is something that's a common theme here. I'm just trying to get some damage here, seeing what I can get. I noticed that there is a musket firing at me. So at this point, I decide I don't want any part of this. I'm going to get caught in the middle of these two people, and that's something that you do not want to do. So at all costs, I am going to try to get out of this fight immediately. As you can see, it's quite the minefield out here. So here we go, trying to get to the outside part of the fight. If you watch my top 10 mistakes, I believe it's in, you want to fight on the outside. What this means is playing monkey in the middle, and you don't want to be the monkey. So we're on the outside part of the fight. We can see everything that's going on. We can see this player coming in, a cheeky little vertical focus attack, and we can do cheeky little monkey things. We're just looking for an opening. They're not countering. They counter too late, and we swipe them away. That's pretty much it, guys. You always want to lead with a focus attack. That's pretty much the name of the game. Lead with a focus attack, but know when to cancel it. I steal a kill. Nothing to really break down there. But this is going to be a tough fight for us here. Blocking the initial hit there. Maybe we might have prevented a cheeky little combo there. Still have stamina problems. Alright guys, some of you may have noticed that this is the same guy that I almost beat unarmed at the beginning of the game. And this time we both have some pretty good gear, and we meet in the final parts of the last circle. It's a top 3 situation, so it's me and him and one other person, or her. So if we start here, you can see I'm automatically going to be loading. I'm going to be leading in with a blue focus. That way I don't get hit stun whenever the fight starts. Try to go for it. It's me with a focus attack. At this point, if I look at this little moment here, you can see that I get knocked away here. I don't want to get caught in any cheeky combos or anything like that. Sorry for the frames there. So I go ahead and hit my E or my F skill. I don't want to get caught in anything. This is typically pretty good, especially if you miss a counter or want to immediately just shield up if you know a combo's coming. So we dash out of that. I activate my ultimate because you might as well use it at this point. You can see that you can do quite a lot with this thing. Now, one thing I tried to do here, I think I might have been out of stamina, but I wanted to get a quick little hit stun off and then freeze into another focus attack. That's a pretty good, effective little combo you can do. But I think I was out of stamina, if I remember correctly. No, I was not. So typically in that scenario, what you want to do is activate your F. You want to immediately back dash so that you cancel the dashing animation, and that'll pretty much land you right in front of your target. You can charge up a focus attack all during the middle of this and then land some big damage. That would have saved us quite a bit of health there, but we ended up not doing it because I'm still learning Justina Goo's kit apparently. So this is a bit of not an older game, but before I got like really good at it. So just spare me in the comments. In this scenario, I'm just trying to get a freeze off so I can get a heal. Doesn't work. I'm gonna try to go here, dodge out of the way of the freeze. That's pretty much it. They weren't really going so much for counters, so you could be a little bit more lenient with the focus attacks. Dashes are much more important than counters in this game, so that's what we're both trying to go for. As you can see, it has a blessing and a curse. That's pretty much it, guys. One thing that you'll need to notice during some of these fights, if you really want to get good, is you want to kind of pay attention to what your opponent's doing throughout the fight. You want to lead with your focus attack, see if they go for an immediate counter. If they do, then you can abuse that fact to try to get a nice little normal attack combo off, like katanas love to do. If they don't go for the counter, you can try dashing out and try feigning another one, seeing if they go for the second one. And if they really just don't want to counter you, then you can probably land some focus attacks. It's all about learning patterns of human behavior and playing some mind games with your opponent. It takes a little bit of brain power at the very beginning. Takes up something that I call a mental stack, which we'll get into at an advanced combat guide probably in the future. Yes, I do plan on making another one. So something to think about. You want to pay attention to what your opponent's doing and react accordingly. From here, it's a 1v1. I'm just waiting for this person to show their face. That's pretty much it. We're going to wait for the Morus blessing as well to give us some gold armor, and we'll go from there. So at this point, I'm just waiting on a tree here, waiting for this Morus blessing to drop. If you're on the top of a tree, you can immediately scale rush, which will help us get to the Morus blessing really quick. Watch this. See? You can also airwalk from there as well. We're going to try to get this Morus blessing immediately. I'm going to go ahead and get the greatsword and the armor. Big damage, we have Juggernaut, and we have extra attack bonus from scale rushing, or I mean from Soul Jades. So the greatsword's going to do a lot. I immediately switch to it. He's going to get killed before he knows it. Okay, you can see he wants to play it safe. That's fine for me. I can get some quick armor. Don't need the range anymore. He's right here, and here we go. So we're going to split this fight up into two halves, the first half being before his ult transformation and the second half being after. I want to just call out that the way I'm playing right now is very sloppy. It should not be replicated. And this is something that I'll need to work on with my greatsword play. Typically, what you want to do is you want to do the greatsword the same way that you do with any other weapon. You want to lead with this focus attack. That's pretty much how it's done for most every weapon. But you don't want to really let it go unless you know you have a hit. And that's something that I make a mistake a lot of. You'll see me swing for the fences with this thing, looking for the big damage. If this player was a little bit better, he could dash into the path of my second follow-up swing of the greatsword and just counter me to no end. And that would be really bad news for us. So do not replicate me swinging for the fences here. Replicate the other parts. Right here, this is a little mix-up combo you can do. This is typically what you want to do anyway on a greatsword. You want to go ahead and try to get a little bit of vertical. And from here, you can either dash out and try to repeat the process. You can go for a horizontal to try to get some long range damage off the greatsword, or you can jump, kind of get a little mix-up option going, and that just shreds health there. His armor's completely gone now. That's another option you can do. You can also go for the aerial vertical. Sometimes it works, although you can see unreliable. You can see the dash out of the ult there. I'm looking for it. Probably going to go ahead and use it here again. Yep. Now, if they're charging blue focus, this is something that you're not going to be able to freeze them on. But you can see right there a little bit later on. Right here, he could have literally dashed back in and got a counter off. He's a little bit scared of it because of how much health he's already lost, which is understandable, but a good player will dash back in and counter you all day, every day. So you don't want to be swinging for the fences like that. And you can see just how much time you have to counter. Like, look at this, there and there. So many opportunities for a counter. You don't want to do what I just did. From here, after he transforms, you want to go into a tree, because Sean can't jump, and you can just recover. That's pretty much it. I'm just keeping track of his position at this point, and I plan to airwalk my way to victory. I know he's over there. Big red glowing ultimate. He thinks he's safe over here, and this is pretty much us cleaning up. Little emote for sauciness. Pretty much at the end there, you can pretty much tell he's not going to land the counter because he didn't the other part of the fight. So I just go ahead and let the stone form go, and that takes care of it. That was the last kill. That's a win for us. And that's pretty much the breakdown of this VOD review. So let's go ahead and go over what I could do better. I could manage my stamina a lot better. I could not swing my greatsword as aggressively as I did, as to try to avoid counters. Really, I could adjust focus attacks a lot more so that I'm not as open to counters. I could work on my tap dodges. I could work on my ultimate dashes to try to catch people when they're frozen. I could not panic as much whenever I do my F2. So learning, I think that's 4, maybe 5 items. I wasn't counting, but that's a lot that we can take to the next game, that we can work on, that we can be conscious of. And all this information that we're getting from just one single VOD review can help you improve the same as if you played 5 games. Like, just being conscious of this kind of stuff is really important to get better at Naraka Bladepoint. So thank you guys for watching. That's going to do it for the VOD review today. If you would like to have a VOD of your own shown on this channel, I'll give you a quick little shout out there in the description. You can submit those to me by DMing me on Discord if you'd like. That's all in the description. So if you'd like to have a VOD of yours featured up here so I can break it down for you, so I can show the world pretty much any mistakes that you're making, they might be making as well. We can point them all out and we can all improve together as a community. So if that's something you're interested in, then hit me up on Discord, DM me a full-length game. It can be a win, loss, doesn't matter. We're all trying to get better. So if this is something you like, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more Naraka Bladepoint content. Big thank you to Gabriel Amaya, our still lone channel member. If you'd like to join him up here in the channel members, you can hit the join button down by the subscription button. And yeah, that's going to be all for today's video. I've been OSK. You all have a great day, and I'll see you out there.